I won't say the thing
Okay.
that I'm trying to correct. The thing that I had to correct was that, like, I was numb for a long time. So I'm like, you can't be numb and go through something like that. It's not. You gotta take something from it because you're gonna need that.
All right, welcome to another episode of Therapy Bros.
Yes, sir.
I'm John with my guy Q.
Yes, sir.
And we're about to get straight to it. Today's a very interesting day. Today is the 2-year anniversary of me tearing my Achilles.
Okay.
So it's crazy to think that it's been 2 years, but like, those Instagram memories, they pop up. And like, I knew like May is always around that time. So I was like, I remember it was like Memorial Day weekend when we was out there hooping. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is kind of like how we deal with grief.
Yeah.
And then also identity. Because what I didn't realize at the moment was like, I felt like I was kind of grieving this injury, but what I was really struggling with at that time was my identity.
Right. Yeah.
Because at that time, running was like everything to me. And like I felt like I was at the best shape of my life. Like I'm out there running 10 plus miles and like I'm feeling good. Like I don't think I've ever been peak condition. And then to tear my Achilles just playing basketball, doing something that I rarely do.
Man, yeah.
It was like a slap in the face. Initially, like I didn't really recognize like what I was really struggling with. And like it took therapy to kind of identify some of those things. And I want to have this conversation with you because I know like you've also dealt with several
what's
injuries.
crazy is I'm pretty sure that this is around the time of my Achilles tear as well.
Yep.
So it's a quick side story and I'll let you get back to yours.
Yeah.
Last week or the week before I was in practice. I have an AAU team now, and we host that AAU team in the same gym as I tore the Achilles. And I'm just kind of in the gym messing around. They're like doing drills, and there's the main rims, and then now there's these side rims. There's a different people hosting the facility, so they have some side rims in there, and it's like lowered. So we were just joking around. I threw you an alley. The rim is like 6 foot tall, so literally I can like literally reach up and over it. But like he threw it alley, and I went to jump, and like I haven't felt soreness in my Achilles in years. Like you said, I've been in peak shape too. Like from coaching, and we with this last team I coached, we actually like play along with the kids, like to show them, the effort and the kind of execution sometimes. So I've been like in another level of peak shape too, and I felt I was like, you got to be kidding me. And like same time of year, same place, like it shook me so bad. Like it kind of scared me for a second. I'm like, this is crazy.
I think it's just because, once again, being athletes, like younger, you have like a certain mindset.
Yeah.
And I think, just in general, like, as you get older, your identity becomes what your abilities are. You know, for me, like I said, it was tied into running. It was tied into going to the gym every day. Like I'm constantly posting like my workouts and stuff and trying to motivate folks. But like once that's stripped away from you.
Yeah.
And all you can do is just sit around because I'm on crutches, my leg wrapped up and everything. Like you can't do the things that you were just normally doing, and it takes a mental toll on you.
Yeah, for sure.
They say like that the silence gets kind of deafening because like. So first off, let me ask you, like, how did you deal with that? Like, what was your go-to? Are you more so like, all right, cool, I'm gonna have to figure out this recovery thing, or do you isolate? Do you like get down on yourself, like?
All of it, man.
Yeah, okay.
So, I have the infamous 3 surgery, 3 summer.
Yeah.
Like, it's like there's 3, really, it's more like almost 5 years because it's like the year leading up to the surgery because there's a little bit of time where I'm like injured and then I'm going back and forth with the company to just even do the surgery. And then the surgery start and it's 3 consecutive surgeries and they are like literally a week apart almost in like the days. 2 of the surgeries are like a day apart. Like I had the back surgery 1 year and then the Achilles was like a day later, a year and a day later. So I think I went through it all. Originally, like you're off work, so people tell you, you should enjoy the time being off work. So you try resting, you try some hobbies. I'm a musician, so I did a little bit of music, a little bit more music. I remember I tried real estate. I did real estate a lot. I didn't finish that. But then I did start isolating. And then the medicine, also I was on medicine, so it did kind of make me kind of a zombie. So I spent a lot of days just at the house, like alone. Like once everybody go to work, the kids were young, so they stayed with me some, but then they would go to daycare, and then eventually Makai was going to school, I believe. So it was like I did spend a lot of days just kind of at home, and the doctor always told me I should keep like at least walking and doing stuff like that. Not the Achilles, but with the other 2 injuries, and I just didn't. So also I went through this whole thing where like physically I start changing. So like I'm on all the meds and I'm not moving. So like now I just start moving up the scale. And for me, it was crazy because just like with your Achilles, like when the shoulder first happened with the first work injury, I was below my high school weight. Like I had just like went on a very big health kick. I had lost like 40 pounds. I was in amazing shape. That happens. And then like when I was going to the doctor, I used to go to the doctor almost weekly. And it was like every week it was going up. The number just went up like 5, 7, 8, 10s. And then before I knew it, it stopped at like, I was at 207 probably when it started. I get almost to 300. So it's like 290. So about like 80 pounds in about a year or 2 year span. And it's like the hardest part to handle of that was like everybody kind of retiring me from sports. So like you're saying that identity. So like, man, I've been an athlete since, you know, I love basketball. I love basketball probably even more than I loved music. Like it is what helped me back in music because I was chasing basketball so much. So like everybody was like, well, I was only 30. So everybody was like, well, time to hang him up. What do you mean time to, it's not time to hang him up. So that definitely brought another layer of like that, the identity crisis. That is what caused, I feel like, my first really identity crisis. Like, man, who am I without basketball?
Yeah.
I remember having a talk with my primary doctor, and man, he is what helped me. I don't even know if it's more than therapy because he was just giving me a lot of good information and just checking on me. He was like, we had the conversation about like the physicality, like, you know, the type of jobs you're doing, like your hobbies, like what are you into? Because this might be a real reality. This might be like kind of over, or it's like you got to shift away from it. Man, that was tough. Those were some tough times.
Yeah, I think like even though I wasn't primarily playing basketball before I tore my Achilles, but like I was in such good shape that I could just we playing 5, 6, 7 games.
Yeah.
And like you might get the first 2, but I'm gonna just wear you down. So it's like, man, getting retired from it because I still haven't played it since.
Yeah.
Like I'll go out and like shoot around, but after that, like I never want to jeopardize that immobility again, you know, especially for something like basketball. So I wasn't as hardcore as you are, but like I can kind of equate that if somebody was like, yo, you just can't do no running anymore. Yeah. Like I don't know how I would feel because like you said, a lot of times your identity is tied to that. That's something that's brought you joy, something that's, you know, you kind of wrapped yourself in like that camaraderie, just going out with your guys and hooping.
Absolutely.
Like, and it's been just a staple of our lives since as long as I can remember, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So to have that taken away or...
Yeah, and for me, it was like so sudden because I was still playing. Like when the injury started happening with my shoulder, I was playing probably like 3 times a week because I used to work. I would work a 14-hour day, and then they'd be like, we hooping at 6. I'm there, like out there. Because again, I'm in that type of shape. Like I was, at that time, I was working for the trash company. So I'm throwing trash. So I'm in good shape because I'm moving all day. So I would leave there and go hoop for 2-3 hours and then, you know, go home, shower, do it again. Like, so it was just, it felt super sudden too. Like it was one of the things where it wasn't like I was like, you know, baby stepping, like I was feeling a little aches and pains. Like when the shoulder thing happened at work, I was in amazing shape. And so it is kind of it was an accident where a stack fell and I kind of caught it awkwardly and I was just like, okay, little twinge. The next morning was the start of hell. Yeah. And it just was like, it was so downhill so fast. And I think that was part of it too. Like, you know, sometimes when you're taking like a quick fall, you know, you feel like your stomach, like kind of feel like it's coming out from up under you. That's definitely how it felt. Just like the everything was just ripped out really, really suddenly.
Yep. So I remember like when we was playing, I know exactly, like I felt it snap or pop or whatever you call it. Like I can hear it in my head too. Like even though like nobody else around me heard it. But I remember from there, I watched enough Sports Center to know, like, okay, it's probably an Achilles. And I'm like, you already know, like, from these athletes, once they tear that Achilles, you out for about a good year. Yeah. So, like, in my mind, I'm trying to process it. But I still didn't kind of grasp the gravity of it. Like, it didn't sink in for probably, like, because I went straight from the gym, went to the crib because it was Memorial Day, everything's closed. Went home, I showered up. And then I remember me and Demetrius went to immediate care together. And they did the little x-ray. And they didn't think it was bad, but they put me in a little walking boot. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's not as bad. And then the very next day, I'm back at the gym. Now, this is my sense of denial. Like, I'm not hooping or anything, but like before I tore the Achilles, I was training to like run a marathon. Like I was hoping to do like a marathon that summer. So like I had already completed like the half marathon. I'm already doing like the Spartan races, the Tough Mudders, like those obstacle courses. So I'm used to going to the gym at least 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, no matter what's going on with this Achilles situation, I don't want to lose all this progress that I made over the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So like I immediately, like I'm walking in the gym on my crutches and in my walking boot, and I just got to it. And I feel like that's a form of like delusion, but also like some self-coping.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like I was in a place right there because of all the other personal stuff that was going on at that moment too. Like that was like a make or break moment for me. Like I've already lost so many other things.
Yeah.
And then and I'm just sitting there, oh no, it would have been curtains. It would have been curtains for me.
Yeah, I did something similar, and my delusion is probably even worse than yours, bro. So it happens. We're in the gym. It's a couple of us. Demetrius was there too. Funny enough,
okay,
it's Demetrius. He's in comment. It's you, bro. No, I'm just kidding. But Demetrius, again, watching so much sports and like being a Kobe fanatic, this is kind of it was the most bizarre thing to me because like, I was watching when it happened with Kobe, and I remember like him talking about it afterwards. Him asking, Clay was guarding him. I remember him asking, "Did you kick me?" And that's how he knew. And like, I'm not kid you not. I was on the other side of the floor, but like I'm going right. Everybody knows I like to do the fadeaway like Kobe, so I did like a half spin, and then when I went to push off is when it happened. So I went to push off, and so I like go to do the move, and I hit the floor. I'm like, "Hey, nigga, did you kick?" And I literally just stopped me and sitting just like, this cannot be happening. So I grab it and like, for me, it just went numb. So like, I didn't feel pain. So I'm also like, well, it don't hurt. Like, it's just really numb. So I remember grabbing it, holding it really tight. Like, okay, if I hold it really tight, if I, when you get hurt, you're like, okay, be okay, be okay, be okay.
Yeah, you try to will yourself.
Yeah, I'm trying to will myself to it. So like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, but it don't hurt. So like, I remember I went to get up and I pushed down on it when I was getting up and fell back down. I'm like, oh no, I'm cooked. So I scooped myself off the court. These niggas keep playing. That's what's so crazy. They just keep playing. So I like, crawl basically over to the bench and I'm sitting there. But then like we get done with the hoop session, they walking out. I'm like, bro, help me. So DJ helped me walk to the car, but then like I'm by myself. So I get home and then I feel like I probably can walk. So I'm like, maybe I just sprained it. So like I went home, ice, heat. And I didn't go to the doctor for like 3 or 4 days because I was like, maybe it's just a sprain, maybe it'll go away. So I like try all my little self-recovery stuff. I'm icing, heating, taking the anti-inflammatory stuff like that. And then in a couple of days, I didn't, when it didn't get better, I'm like, okay, well, let me go see. Man, I went to the doctor. He immediately was like, yeah, you see, he grabbed the other one. You see how this is normal? He grabbed the other one, was like, and then he showed me, he was like, right here, and I almost punched him in the face. I was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh, there it is. He was like, yes, hold on by a thread. You're going to go now. And they did surgery like the next day or two. Because he was like, I was at the point, because I waited so long, I was at the point where it was going to start healing itself improperly. And so they did that surgery within like a week. Yeah. And I was like, but it's just pure delusion. I was like, I'll be fine. I was walking. And it was only like when I hit it a certain way that like it would make me buckle. But I actually walked for like, it was at least 3 days. I walked around on it.
That's wild. That's wild.
But it's that same, like, everything is stacking. So I'm coming off of, like, literally the 2 surgeries. I had gained all the weight. And then, like, I was recovering from the back surgery. And then, like, I had started biking. And I was, like, starting to get back active. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling good. And they're like, y'all want to hoop? I'm like, yeah. So the first couple of days, I'm just shooting jump shots. I'm like, it feels fine. But then that 4th day, my jump shot was up. And I started trying to move. And that's when it, so it's, like, coming off of all those surgeries and everything else going on. It was, like... In that moment, I'm like, I don't think I can go through this. Yeah. And so you're trying to like like you say, trying to will yourself or trying to make it, not be as bad as you think it is. But yeah, that doctor brought me back to reality real quick.
Yeah, let's talk really quickly about like the emotional reality of setbacks. Okay. Because we've been talking about like with injuries, but this can apply to just about anything else in life. So you mentioned like you go through the range of emotions. Is there one, I guess, that is like the default, and then one that you've been trying to correct when like situations similar to this kind of arise now that you have been, because were you in therapy when you were? Okay.
Let's see. No, maybe not. I think not. Maybe not. Okay. What's going on? I don't think so. I think that's pre-therapy. No, it's not. It's not. It's post. It's somewhere in the middle of that. Therapy starts somewhere in the middle of that. In the middle of all of that. Yeah, I would say for me, I think my default is just like full assessment. Okay, where are we at? What's going on? Like, okay, how are we? What do we feel right away? Yeah. Like, is there anything that's like standing out? Because I do want to try to like address that, because I have learned like that I don't want that to get carried away.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go. I've been in the hole. Like, there's times where there were days where I was like at home and I was just like literally sleeping whole days away, like not doing anything, like fully. Probably, I never went and got checked in for, depression or anything like that, but probably definitely dealing with some level of depression, mild, moderate, whatever you want to call it. But like definitely just letting days, weeks go past, and just not doing anything because it's just like being sulking. And I think for me, what I kind of lean on is that like I do want to feel those feelings though.
Yeah.
I don't want to ignore that, because that's the thing that I did have to correct. So I won't say the thing that I'm trying to correct. The thing that I had to correct was that like, I was numb for a long time. So I'm like, you can't be numb and go through something like that. It's not. You gotta take something from it, because you're gonna need that. Like on the other side, when you start pushing back, you're gonna need to remember that like, hey, I didn't like how that felt. So on these days where it's hard to do rehab, on the days when I don't want to get up and do rehab, and don't want to get up and do my self stuff that they sent me home with, I also don't want to be back where I was. So I want to actually try to, get this well. And so sitting in them feelings, I think early on gives me what I need to push through when it's time for the rehab. I would never forget the surgeon said, I'm doing the easy part. The surgeon, he was like, it was so cool. He was such like a cooler, older guy. He came in there, he was like, yeah, I'm going to tell you the truth. I got the easy part. I'm going to reattach it. I've done this he was like the best, in this area. He's like, I've done this thousands of times. I'm going to reattach it. And then you got the hard part, which is rehab. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he wasn't lying. Surgery was pretty quick. Crutches sucked, especially one crutch. 2 crutches was okay, but when I went down to 1 crutch, I hated it. But yeah, that rehab was where like, you're scared the whole time because you feel like it's gonna like re-tear and stuff like that, and it's just all of those kind of things, and re-trusting and relearning and But there's also a part of me that like, weirdly enough, I was missing athletics so much that like I was enjoying the therapy. Like once we got to the therapy, it was hard, but I was enjoying just being back around like a gym atmosphere. Like the therapy felt like a gym atmosphere. I'm in there, you're talking to people, they're talking about what's going on with them, what's going on with you, and you kind of find community in it a little bit. Sure. If you can find people who are going through a similar situation as you. So I think, it's again always full range.
Man, I can't answer that better, to be honest, because that's the exact same process that I had. Immediately full assessment mode. Yeah. Like I remember when I got home that evening, I'm on YouTube looking at recovery timelines for Achilles tears, because I was like, I know that there's going to be a process associated with this. So I felt like I was trying to mentally get ahead of that. Okay. It's like by prepping myself, like one, I know that it's going to be, maybe a year before I get back. And my goal was to always get back to where I was beforehand. Okay. And I know like, while I was going through the process, it didn't seem like I'd ever get back there. And I think that's one of the I don't want to say like the lies that we kind of tell ourselves, but like, the situation sometimes just like makes you less confident about those things. Yeah, you feel like
never be the same.
Yeah. So that was something that I was battling, that fear of like, man, like, is this my new reality? Yeah. Versus like, okay, things heal, just gonna take time, but like you're not seeing that. And like for me, I'm such a I want it right away type of person, to the point where now I gotta sit. Okay, I gotta have surgery. Okay, I gotta stay in this cast for this amount of time. And one of the things that I had to kind of get myself out of, this is where once again a testament to therapy, is understanding that my timeline is my timeline, because I was following all these other people and watching their journeys, but like theirs wasn't as severe as mine was. So while they're on step 3, week 4, I'm still on step 1. Yeah. And just trying to trust the process, not try to make things worse. Yeah. But then I'm also so independent, because like I'm on crutches and the laundry was downstairs in the basement. I'm sitting there trying to carry the basket down the stairs with the 1 crutch and just trying to do everything myself, because once again, like your identity, like I don't like depending on other people. Yeah. So it was so hard to just reach out for help. And that was tough. That was a tough part, like the assessment mode.
For sure. For you, I know you had, what did you break in high school?
So at the same place at Peak where I tore my Achilles, I dislocated my ankle.
Okay. Because I know you've had like time set before. For me, that was I made it through all of my basketball career, all of that without like any major injuries, like all the way through college. Well, college is where I had the first major injury. So I guess that's not true. But that was the first time I ever had to have surgery. So I'm like, man, this is the first time I ever going through that process at all at 30. And I'm like, man, this is like very... like you said, it takes an emotional toll. You just never, you don't really consider that risk as an athlete, especially as a young athlete. You just like, I'll be fine. I used to get hurt. They go to the doctor, be like, you should rest on it for 2 weeks. I would leave the doctor's office and go to the gym. Like, man, please.
That's the exact same thing. So when I dislocated my ankle, this was like our junior year of high school. Like my ankle came down on it wrong. My foot went this way. So I remember them just looking at it. Demetrius was there too for that. So.
DJ, what is happening?
So what they did was like they just adjusted it, put me in the boot, and the cast, and they gave me like some anti-inflammatory meds that I never took. So like 2 weeks later, I'm back back to normal.
Wow.
So it's like you said back then, like you just gonna bounce back, but like I just wasn't like doing nothing too heavy on it. But this was my first time ever having surgery in life.
Okay.
And like that process was just different too because on top of like all that, I have a huge fear of hospitals.
Okay.
Huge fear of hospitals. I know where it comes from. You know, my dad was always in the hospital when I was younger. And I remember, it's so vivid. Like one of my earlier memories is like being in like kindergarten or whatever. And like my dad was in the hospital and like my mom would always take us to go visit him. So like this one particular time, I remember she came pick me up right after school, went to the hospital. And I don't know what had happened, but he had like all the things connected to him. Oof. And like as a 6 or 7 year old, I just saw that it just kind of traumatized me.
Yeah, for sure.
So like ever since then, I get a lot of anxiety around being sick and then also like going to hospitals.
Okay.
So like to now have surgery and I'm like, how old was I? I'm 36 at the time.
Okay.
So to have my first surgery, and when you do that surgery, they're so efficient with things. Like they just moving everything quick. We come in prepping you, blah, blah, blah. Doctor comes in, mark where we cutting, what we doing. You sign off, all that things. Like everything is moving so fast, which I kind of appreciate it because I didn't have enough time to get in my head about it.
Yeah.
So they was like, hey, we're about to knock you out in about 2 minutes. I wake up and then it's done. So
yeah. And that was, for me, I experienced that like the entire process. Like from the moment they were telling me I have to have surgery, it was almost like, and I feel like this was like a defense mechanism or something that just like kind of kicked in for me that I am so super, super grateful for. That like I couldn't really think through the process. I just couldn't put my mind on it. Like especially the shoulder surgery, I wasn't like really fearful of. But when they said they had to do the surgery on my spine, I'm like, I couldn't even really think through the risk. Like, okay, of course you could be paralyzed. But like at the time, I just never thought about it. I didn't talk about it a lot. I told the people that I had to tell. I'm sure there were plenty of people who were upset with me because I wasn't like, people always want you to be like, why didn't you tell me you were doing? I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. So like, if you heard it from somebody else, totally cool. My immediate family knew. But like, I didn't spend a lot of time thinking on it. Like, I feel like my mind blocked it out. I didn't even want to think about the risk or whatever. And I just kind of let it be. Yeah. The doctors were always pretty certain. Like with my back surgery, the doctor told me like, hey, I want to do this surgery. So unless you tell me you don't want to do this surgery, you should absolutely do it because of your age and stage. Like he was like, it will limit you in ways that you will not be limited if we have the surgery. He was like, you will recover because of your age, because of your physicality, because of your size. He was like, you'll recover. But if you don't, you won't. And then the thing he asked me was like, you got kids, don't you? I was like, I have 2 young kids. You're doing the surgery. He was like, you're not going to be able to move with them. And that was the thing that like kind of pushed me. I think I was doing it anyway. I was like, I had the pain I was having. It had been there consistently for about like a year straight. So I'm like, if this is the thing that's going to take it away, we have to do this. But yeah, that was a time.
Yeah, I can imagine because I had that option as well. Like the doctor, he wanted to do the surgery because he was like, you'll be able to recover. He was like, you're already athletic. He was like, I'm not. He was like, I'm sure rehab's going to. He didn't say like be a breeze, but he was like, I know you'll be able to get through that process versus just kind of sitting it and then running your chance of it's healing incorrectly. So like with the whole rehab process, I remember, like you said, I was looking forward to it. just because I kind of saw that as like checking things off, like I'm making progress.
Yeah.
So I was looking forward to being able to get into rehab. I was like, I couldn't wait to get out the walking boot, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and just being able to wear a pair of shoes. I remember,
man.
I remember the first day that the doctor was like, yeah, he was like, you can go back to regular shoes now.
Yeah.
And like,
I got a funny story about when I made it back to my regular shoes. My birthday rolled around right around the time I got regular shoes back. It's funny because I have a pair on today, and I had some Bread 11s. These are my I got my Cap and Gals on today, but I had some Bread 11s, and I wore them because I had my birthday, because it was my birthday party we had like at the house, and like I'm back walking kind of normal, and then it was, it's like fall, basically, in September. So we had like these bees that were coming into the house, and I remember I went to like swat a bee, and like I felt it pop for the first time, and I was like, I thought I had reset. I'm like, man, I wanted to wear these Jordans so bad, like that I really like set myself back. I mean, I was so scared. So I went to the doctor like 2-3 days later, and it was like, that's just the scar tissue like starting to heal. But that scared me so bad. I'm like, I didn't wear Jordans for probably like 3 years. I went and got Nikes. I got all my Nike Air Max. I only wore Air Max. I mean, I couldn't wear slides. I didn't wear slides for like 3 years. Slides hurt so bad. So just like, adjusting to that and feeling like, is this, and that was one of the hard battles. Is this temporary, or like you said, is this my new normal? Like, and I feel like too, it definitely helped me understand like when we see athletes, like when they have that quick decline or they have that injury, and you see how their mental declines, and we see kind of, we see way more with social media now, like how that affects them. I'm like, man, for me, like, and for you, like when you're such in good shape and it happened like that, like you're not prepared mentally to let that go. Like if they're just saying it's done because this one event happened, like, well, I'm definitely not done. I was just here. So it's like, going through that, like, this is what you did, this is who you were, and for them, that's how they live. I never lived off of basketball per se, but that's how they live and make their money, and that's, that's everything you do. You put so much into it, and to lose that, like, I think that goes back to that grief, and that's definitely part of what that was, is like, part of that grief process that turned positive was like, okay, well, you have to find a you that exists outside of basketball, like, because this might be actually over. Like, what is that gonna be if you're not gonna play again? I didn't play I honestly probably did think it was over. I didn't play. It's probably that's definitely the longest I've ever went. Like 5, 6, maybe 7 years or so. I didn't actually like play basketball going like full speed for a long time. I just didn't trust it.
Yeah, and see, so. And like, even like having this conversation is kind of therapeutic for me to just kind of revisit some of these things. But like, one of the toughest parts, I think, with that recovery process is, and you talk about like with the athletes, one of the toughest things was my mind was somewhere and my body was somewhere else. And like in my head, it's like, I know I can go out and do this if I want to.
Yeah.
Part of this process of like, getting back to like my norm was just trying to trust my body this time around. Because I didn't do that when I tore it. Like before I tore the Achilles, we hooping, we on game like 3 or 4, and like, I'm feeling the tightness in both of my, calves and stuff. And like, you just taught to just kind of play through it, right? And there's on a larger scale, that's just in life in general, especially for us as men, when things are going on, like, you might feel like, okay, this don't feel right. Yeah. But we're just taught to like, okay, you'll be tough.
Push through.
Keep doing it. Yeah. So by doing that, like now I'm trying to be more conscious of like where I'm at, but then it's still hard mentally, like.
And I think that was a balance for me. I sat with that for a long time, where it's like you said, you don't trust your body. You usually just pushing your body. And I'm just tired, or I'm just fatigued, or I'm just whatever. And now you learn that those are signs. But for me, I think I went the other way. So now it's like every little. So when I was starting to go back to the gym, every time I felt if I felt soreness, or if I got, I was having muscle spasms for a while. So if I had a muscle spasm, okay, I'm not going to the gym. I would take weeks off. I would take months off, because I'm like, okay, I'll recover again, because I don't want to have a setback. I was so fearful of having that setback again that I definitely, man, there was years where I just wouldn't. That's why I didn't go to the gym consistently for a long, long time, because I was really scared of it, because that was what was happening prior to the surgeries. Like before they were determined that I had to have surgery, we would go to therapy, and I would like get to the same level every time, and then it would flare up, and then I would have to come off of it, and we would go like probably like a month, maybe 2, where we would be like building up, get to it, and then we would have to back off of it. And that's how they eventually found that I had to go to surgery. But like that process too, of like building up and not being able to get over the hump, like just kind of made me feel like, again, this might be where we at, and you got to taper back. You got to learn to do something else. Like, it's just, you know, and even with music, which is crazy. Like, music doesn't seem like athletic, but playing keys, and especially playing organ. Like, playing keys, you can have a backseat, but organ doesn't have a back. So like, I had never had music taken away from me before. And I was delusional with that too. I was just hard-headed with that, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, post back surgery, there was like, when they found out that I played without a back, they're like, well, you can't. Like, you have to have some level. Just don't do that. I'm like, you don't understand that this is how I pay my bills. Like, so I can't. And then it's, you know, music is and it's entrepreneur in the sense of like, I don't have a leave. I'm the person that's there to play. So if I leave, they're gonna replace me. So it's like, shout out to the churches I was playing for at the time. It definitely helped me, like, you know, not do too much. Neither one of them places replaced me because of that was going on. And I did do too much. I found myself a replacement for one of the services, but then I would go to the other one and I would play during the song and then just get off and sit in the chair next to it. So I had a back. But man, like, having music even be threatened by this, it was just like, this was everywhere. And I think that's kind of the feeling that we get in other spaces too, where it's like, why is this spilling everywhere? Like, this one situation is like, so it's taking basketball. I can't work, so I can't, you know, I'm only making partial of my money because I'm off. And then like now music too, like, it's just, you feel like if they were gonna take basketball away, leave me with music. But like, to take both, it definitely, for me, these set of injuries, the thing that came from that was like, I had to find the real me outside of any other activities because they were all threatened. So what if they're all gone? And it was me turning 30, so I'm like, is this me kind of getting to the over the hill? Like, what's you know, the age thing is coming in, so it just was it was a holistic, like, we have to find ourselves, because it was definitely mentally, of course it's physically, even spiritually, because it's like, you know, you got all that time alone. What are you doing with that time? Like, you got to, at some point, you're searching for something. You watch all the TV you can watch. That's when Fire Sticks were first, like, really popular. I watched, man, any and everything. Like, I've always been I've been kind of a lifelong insomniac, and I'll talk about that in another episode, because I feel like that came from my childhood. But like, in my childhood, I would stay up all night most nights, like just watching TV and stuff until I fell asleep. But like, that definitely activated that. Sleep was here, and you know, I slept because of the meds, but like, I spent all night up for the most. I'd be on the couch because I wasn't laying down, so I would be doing my little self-care. I got either the heating pad or the ice pad on. I'm just watching TV up most nights until I, you know, pass out basically. Yeah. And so it was just like, man, that is a interesting time, but you do get a chance when you spend all that time alone to kind of run through your thoughts and like, you know, what else do we want to be into? What else do we want to do? Like, what could we do outside of this to kind of, you know, sustain ourselves and not lose your mind?
Man, because it's definitely easy to lose your mind in those situations, or to do the woe is me type of situation. Like with me, I tore it. This is once again Memorial Day weekend. So this is right before the summer kicks off. Yeah. So like, everybody's outside, and I'm here with my crutches, bro. Like I just don't want to do anything. So like, you're seeing all that on social media, and you just want to be able to. So it can put you in like the little spiral of depression. But that's where I found art again, because like I can't move around, so I'm sitting in my little chair just drawing more. I'm actually like writing more. So I found a lot more creative outlets since I couldn't have like those physical outlets. But I was still going to the gym. I asked my doctor, I was like, hey, can I go? Like, I'm not doing no lower body workouts, but it's like, I still want to keep my endurance. So he allowed me, once I got out the cast, to, you know, still doing the treadmill. Okay. So not the treadmill, the is that the elliptical bike? Yeah. Yeah. So I was just doing the bike a lot of times just to kind of keep my energy up. And then like, once eventually we got to the point with physical therapy, because like, I remember one of my physical therapists, I know she probably hated to see me coming, because like, they'll put me on like, okay, well, you need to do the bike for like 5 minutes. Can you do it? How are you feeling? I'm like, I'm good. How are you feeling? Like, I was like, this is nothing, but she won't let me crank it up. Yeah. But that was another thing for me, because I'm a very impatient person. So once again, just having to trust the process. They're doing their job. But when I eventually got to the point where I could start doing, they had the assisted gravity treadmills. Okay, I remember seeing that. It's like the bubble around you. I remember seeing you post that. I remember like, man, I know he is happy to be back, bro, moving. I got relief seeing that post. Like, oh, bro, it's finally back to it. Because
funny enough, it seems like, when we go through these stages, it's normally like, I go through it, then you go through it. So it's like, I had just went through it, so I'm like, I know what you feel like, because, man. And I wasn't trying to, I didn't try to get back right away, because it was post with Achilles. It was post those other surgeries, so I was still at a heavier weight. So the thing that I said was I wouldn't play again at that weight. So when I got back my goal was just to start losing the weight. I wasn't even I wasn't thinking about basketball or anything. I was like, I will never play at this weight again, because I feel like that is part of the stress that that caused that. And I was so much older. I'm like, I'm older than I was then. And they had told me all the stats. Like, you got 40% chance to tear the other one and all this other stuff. So they had spooked me pretty much.
Oh, yeah. That's why I haven't played basketball since.
Yeah.
So, because like the quick movements, he was like, that's what, because I tore doing a thing that I do all the time, just trying to drive.
Yeah.
And that's just snapped. But like through the process, and I'm glad you had mentioned that too, because I think a lot of times with like these injuries and just like some of these traumatic events, luckily, I'll say for myself, like I'm glad that I don't have to go through them alone. Like I remember reaching out to you and like we talked about all the Achilles stuff and then like the injuries, the surgeries and all that stuff. So like I had somebody who's going through what I'm going through to kind of support me along the way.
Yeah.
So like that was important, just to have like a network around you. Like I remember going to Porter's crib. I was like, yo, Porter, can you carry my crutches down to the basement? Like just, he's like, yeah, I got you. Like it's just little stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I was saying, where was I about to go? Luckily, I was in therapy at that point, because one of the most important things I think that therapy did for me at that moment is it taught me to not treat myself as a machine, because I'm so used to just going. And like my therapist was like, yo, this is a time for you to really just slow down and like not beat yourself up for not being where you want to be at. Like it's okay to feel these feelings. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to do X, Y, and Z. But how are you directing that energy? And for me, a lot of it went back into that recovery. So instead of doing like the whole woe is me thing, I'm sitting there looking at all my old runs. I was like, okay, this is motivation. I'm on my I was started journaling. Just really expressing like how I was feeling in those moments, and going back and reading some of that stuff is like,
yeah, I think that's my only regret.
Yeah.
Well, I have two regrets at that time, that I didn't spend my time sharpening any of my other talents. I just wasn't in the headspace for that. I feel like I tried, but I just wasn't there. But I didn't journal, and like now that I want to tell that story, there's so much of it that I just like. It's gone, because I was just, I was getting through it, and I feel like it was traumatic for me, and it did affect a lot of areas, but I didn't record any of that, and so I kind of wish I had, just to be able to kind of lead that trail for others. And like, man, this is tough, but you can get to the other side of this. And so I think that was two of my regrets, that I didn't use that time wisely, but that just was I think that's the thing I had to undig in therapy too. That you are like resting and recovering, so there's not always you can be moving forward. Like sometimes you got to sit and be still. That's what I was going to ask you too. I know we are both like high level, high activity, multi-talented people, so we're always going. Like busybodies, what they call it. So like that was one of the first times I had to just like completely stop.
Yeah.
And it was hard, but it also was. I feel like it was useful, because there are times in life where you have to just absolutely come to a complete stop.
Yeah.
And like take some assessments, see what's going on, care for some things, do some maintenance and stuff that you can't do. Some stuff you can't do while moving.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's just like you don't. In your early stages, I never recognized that. I'm like, I'll do it while I'm going to be productive. I got to do something. I got to be doing something. I feel like that comes also from my childhood. I feel like I always got to be grasping at something, or I'm behind, so I always got to catch up. So it was really that in hindsight. And then, as I got, a little older and a little mature and therapy, you realize that, no, sometimes you got to stop to, just do the maintenance that has to be done. Yeah.
Yeah, because like you said, we've been going since started working when we were 15, 16 years old, legally.
Yeah.
Right. But before that, still just being very active. So this was like one of those moments where, I'm sitting down for the summer, and it was rough, bro. Like, but one of the things, like you mentioned, Like I wanted to be able to kind of document everything so that I can lay some of the breadcrumbs, just to kind of motivate somebody else. So like even if I wasn't directly journaling every day, I took a lot of pictures. Okay. For me, I'm very visual in some senses where like if I see a picture, it takes me right back to it, and I can feel all the feelings that I had, like because that was a very, very depressing time, you know, just with everything that was going on. And like you said, it felt like things were just kind of like stacking. So like when I do look back at those pictures, like, man, it just takes me right back to those moments. But even though like it makes you kind of feel a little bit bad, it also makes me feel grateful for the present as well. Seeing where I was and where I'm at now. And ultimately, like this whole setback has become part of like my story now, my testimony. And like when I'm like sharing, you know, with kids and things like building resilience, I've lived part of this now. Yeah. And like to be, you know, just even today, I'm back now better than I was pre-injury. Yeah. So like it didn't seem like I would ever get there, but like I'm here now. So I'm like, I'm grateful for that. And then hopefully just use that to just, you know, share with somebody else who's going through it, because our minds, man, it is the strongest thing that we got. And for better or for worse.
For better or for worse, for sure. Because it just feel like you said, it just feel like it's not going to be the same. It's really tough to go through. But then, like you said, it's just get on the other side of that and being able to go through something. I think for me, nothing's ever gotten to me like that. That was, for me, that felt like my first life event. I always call it like, that's my first life disruption. Like nothing ever bothered me that much. Like I've had plenty of other things happen, like, you know, big deaths and stuff, they hurt, but they didn't leave like that type of, that was the most personal hurt I've felt, like personal, you know, feelings that I felt like that. So I'm like, man, this is very new. Without therapy, I'm not sure how it would have been, you know, how it would have been directing that.
Yes.
So I'm like, I didn't want that. And it did still spill over. I'm totally, and we went right to therapy. Like, I think this is getting a little wild. It's getting crazy. But like without therapy, I don't know where that would have spilled into, because you just, you know, that's hard to manage the way you feel about that.
There's this, you just remind me of like this quote. Hold on, I have like a notes of all my favorite quotes. And the quote said, mental toughness without emotional processing becomes emotional suppression. So like, like sometimes we feel like, okay, all right, I'm just going to push these feelings down. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to process them. They're just going to go away, and I'm just going to keep moving. But like when you do that, like you said, it just bleeds over into all these other areas. I'm glad you said that, because a lot of times, man, like especially as men, you're just taught keep it to yourself. Yeah. And just keep moving forward.
And for me, so the Achilles was the one that everyone can see, but so that wasn't the one I struggled with the most. Yeah. Back surgery was the one I struggled with the most. No one, so especially leading up to it, before I had the back surgery, no one knew. So everyone is still, like, I know I have all these limitations. I was at like a 40-pound limitation. I wasn't supposed to be lifting, no contorting, no turning, nothing consistent. But I'm in all these spaces where like, at 30, I'm the active male around. So I'm the one that is doing stuff. So there's times where like I'm showing up to places and they're like, oh, can you grab? And I'm just like, yes, because I'm like, well, I'm used to doing it. So I'm like, yes. And I'm not even, so I wasn't even following directions. It's so hard to like have a non-visible injury, because it just feels like you're going through that so much more alone, because people don't understand, because I wasn't telling them. Like I wasn't telling people, so they didn't know to treat me any differently. And so they're putting that same expectation. And like, so for me, it's like, do I meet it and possibly hurt myself, or do I like make an excuse? Do I tell them I don't really want to talk about it, so I didn't tell a lot of people? So a lot of times I did just try to, let me see if I could do this safely, or let me try to find the excuse to get out. And then that kind of what made me isolate some more, because I'm like, the more opportunity I have to be around people, they're thinking I'm normal. I have this ailment that I don't want to tell people about, but people can't obviously see. So that kind of made me isolate a little bit, and it wasn't for the better. But it's definitely, I feel like that was the biggest struggle of those surgeries, is that like it wasn't as visible, so people didn't know, so they weren't changing their expectation because they didn't know.
And see, that's you know, just kind of taking this off of like the injuries, but man, like a lot of times just in life, so many people are dealing with so many things that are unseen, unspoken, and you just never know how this person is showing up today. This is something that I try to take into consideration, especially with teaching, because I saw this quote the other day, and it was a student, and they said like it's a poem. It's a poem. It's like you asked me for a pen. Hold on a second. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. Yeah. So the poem is called "Cause I Ain't Got a Pencil." It says, "I woke myself up because we ain't got an alarm clock. Dug in a dirty clothes basket because ain't nobody washed my uniform. Brushed my hair and teeth in the dark because the lights aren't on. Even got my baby sister ready because my mom wasn't home. Got us both to school on time to eat a good breakfast. Then I got to class and the teacher fussed because I didn't got a pencil." And it's like, you just never know how people are showing up or the obstacles that they had to go through just to get in front of you.
Yeah.
And then the smallest thing that is an inconvenience for you is so minuscule in the same like breath. Like it's wild. So it's just empathy, you know, just gotta be empathetic.
That's it. I try as much as I can. I know for me, I experienced that with the weight gain. Of course, when people were asking about the weight gain, and again, because I wasn't as public about the injuries, the weight gain did seem like a surprise. They were like, "What's going on?" But like people, and I think people do this a lot too often. I think I try as much as possible now to not do that because it just. Every once in a while, I did blow up on people. Like, where'd you gain weight? Well, you want to know? I'm going to tell you. Then I would go down a list, and then they'd be like, "I'm sorry I said something. I'm sorry you said something too." Like, you just shouldn't say stuff like that to people because you don't know what's going on. But yeah, I can't blame them for that too because, and I know I'm guilty of this in other areas where I'm not sharing what I'm going through, and so they don't know. So they don't know not to push because you haven't shared what you're going through.
But then, like, how much are you like? Because where does the responsibility really lie? Because I feel like we shouldn't have to go through and just say everything that we're going through. Like, I know the people that are closest to you are probably going to know, right? But like, why don't people just
mind their business? I think I've been more. I think the more I understand that, the less I allow that to bother me. Like there are people who do it, I just like really just like I've learned to let it go. It's still always like you don't have to do that. Like you don't have to say that. But like a lot of times I'm like, okay, if I get caught into that, I can't let that be. I don't like to let stuff. I used to have pet peeves. I'm like, that's my pet peeve. But now I'm like, man, I don't want you to be able to have my button to push. Like that's the thing I love about therapy. Can I get this button away? I don't want to give people this opportunity to get under my skin. So like I'm trying to learn to get rid of that. Like not take that personally because they don't know, and for whatever reason they're not being cognizant enough to be sensitive about something. It probably is. Weight gain is sensitive to everybody. No one wants to feel bad about gaining weight, but you know a lot of times it's us as culturally and the folks that's older than you or like your friends that joke with you or people like strangers that don't know you or people that knew you from or like outside of your immediate circle feel like they can ask that question or they have that access to you or have always had that access to you. And it's like, please just don't.
Out of curiosity, do you feel bad like if you do blow up on somebody after you've attempted to? And I'll share a story. Just to give you a second.
I think it depends on how far I go.
Okay.
How I serve it.
For those who don't know, JJ, my son, he has a feeding tube for majority of his life. Like most people wouldn't know that he has a feeding tube if you just walk up to him. So I remember we were at like one of the grocery stores and like they had like the little candy samples and he doesn't eat food by mouth. Or at that point he didn't eat anything by mouth. And it was a really, once again, as a parent, this is something that we've been in feeding therapy for years trying to work towards this. So we was at the grocery store one time and the lady was like, "Oh, can he have a sucker?" I was like, "Oh, sorry, he doesn't want one." "Come on, Dad, let him have a sucker." Like, "No, it's okay. He's fine." Stop being like that. And like, so she kept pressing the issue, bro. And like, she's not catching on to the hints, but like you wouldn't know. So then I just kind of let loose on it. He has a feeding tube and he actually can't eat food by mouth. And we've been struggling with this in feeding therapy for about 7 years now. So he can't eat this. I appreciate you wanting to give him one, but I felt bad for making her feel bad, but
leave me alone, lady.
Like, certain things you just don't talk about. And like, if people are kind of trying to gently nudge you.
Yeah, most people miss that.
They do, bro.
They do. And I think that did make me be a little more direct because I feel like I do feel like some of that onus at some point. Now, I guess not the onus is on me. I just don't want to have those moments because again, I don't want to lose it on people. I'm like, man, they don't know, but they shouldn't be pushing. But just because they shouldn't be pushing doesn't mean I still should. I can have control against the therapized versus the. I don't know if they're in therapy or not, but it's like that's the one thing I'm taking some responsibility for. That I can, I know better. I can do better, but like,
it's kind of like
I really wish you would just shut up. But like
boxers and MMA, like they can't do street fights.
Yeah, I can't hit you because my hands are weapons. But I want to. You've asked for me to hit you, and I really want to. But I know if I do, I'm going to jail. Like, so again, of course, it's not that that extreme, but it's definitely like, man, I try, but definitely, I think I feel bad depending on how far I go. Yeah. And most of the time, that's because. If it go far, normally I mean it's something else. Cause like that particular instance isolated wouldn't do that. But like if it's other stuff stacked up, I'm like, dang, again, you jumping in front of somebody else's bullet. Like I really wish you wouldn't. And it's probably several people, so you gonna get the whole clip. Like you finna get somebody whole clip. Like all these other people that did small stuff that I let go, and then you just keep pushing. So now you finna get all of this over here too. And it's like, man, I just would rather not.
Right. So as we get ready to wrap up, I'm just curious, for those who are watching, like, how do you guys deal with like that grief? Do you allow yourselves to feel those emotions? Do you have a process? Do you just like suppress things? Like, I'm just so curious to hear the conversation around this. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We want to have this conversation with you guys.
Absolutely.
And help others. Like, we all building that toolkit out.
Absolutely. Right? Building that toolkit. The toolkit is important during these recovery phases. Also, identifying them phases, identifying, your identity. Hey, find you. That self-assessment is your biggest journey, is to you, because you're going to have these moments, whether they be physically or mentally or just trauma-based or just life in general. It's going to happen, and you're going to need to know, like, how to, use a toolkit. And grief is a part of the toolkit.
It is. That's going to be another separate episode. Yeah, let's
get out of here before we...
I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you.
Thank you.